Hello, hello. Welcome to another 10 to 20 with Tanya. I'm Tanya, and today I'm trying something a little different with my headphones. So let me know if you can hear me. If you can hear me, hi, Sergio. If you can hear me, let me know in the comments. Say, I can hear you, or I can't hear you. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Hopefully you can hear me well. I see Oksana. Oksana, can you hear me? Sergio, can you hear me? I see we have a few people here with us already. Let me know where you're calling from. And hello, hello, everyone. Today we will be playing a game called Two Truths and a Lie. So I'm going to tell you how to play the game here in just a minute. And then I will be giving you some examples. This is a game that you can play with another person who's learning English, or if you have a teacher, or even in your native language, you could play this. It's a great way to practice your English, but of course, you can play it in any language. Have you ever heard of the game Two Truths and a Lie? Let me know, yes or no. Have you ever heard? And if you really want to practice your English, practice the present perfect tense, which is one of the more challenging tenses. You can say, I have heard of Two Truths and a Lie, or I have never heard of Two Truths and a Lie. Hello, Luis. Good to see you. Good. There's lots of people hearing me. Now that a couple people have said they can hear me, can you hear me better with the headset on? Can you hear me better than you usually do when I'm doing a live? I also got a new camera for my computer. So I'm getting ready to set this up. Hopefully, when I get back from vacation, I'm going on vacation here soon. But okay, so several of you have heard of the game. Is there anyone who has not heard of the game? Anyone who says, no, I haven't heard of the game? Or you could just write no in the comments. So, in case you or someone who's watching the recording has not heard of this game, basically it's pretty easy. It's pretty straightforward. In other words, it's not complicated. It's straightforward. I'll put that in the chat. This is a word I use quite a bit. So if you watch my channel, you'll hear me say it. It's straightforward. It's not complicated. You have at least two people, or you could have a big group of people, and one person tells two things that are true about them and one thing that is a lie. And then the other people guess which one is the lie. So, welcome everybody. Thank you for putting your comments in the comment section. It's very helpful if you write and comment in the comment section. It helps me to stay connected with you. And you can connect with other people who are here live as well. And while I'm on that topic, if you haven't already, be sure to give us a thumbs up. This helps me to continue doing live videos like this. So, the first set of three things I'm going to tell you about me are coming in just a minute. So I want you to listen and see which one of these things do you think is a lie, and which two of these things do you think are the truth? Okay. So the first one is, I wrote myself some notes here so I could remember. I've always lived in Arizona, California, and Colorado. That's three of the states. I've always lived in Arizona, California, or Colorado. That's the first one. The second one, I've lived in 9 different states in the United States. I've lived in 9 different states in the United States. And the third one, I've never lived anywhere except the USA. I've never lived anywhere except the USA. So which one do you think is the lie? Tell me in the comments which one you think I'm lying about. And while you're thinking about that, tell me if you have always lived where you live now. So think about the present perfect. I have always lived where I live now, or I have not always lived where I live now. The word always is often used with the present perfect because we're talking about something that happened over a long period of time. In this case, always or all my life. We could say, I have lived blah, 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 wherever my whole life or my entire life. Okay, let's see if we have any questions or anyone who thinks they know the lie. Okay, Luis says, what about if you tell us what you remember about the day that the Americans landed on the moon? I'll tell you right now what I remember about that. Nothing. I studied it in school, of course, but I was very, very young when that happened. I don't remember it. Um, Ahmed says, I won the lottery and I prefer to live as a new immigrant. Awesome, Ahmed. I wonder if that's true or if you are playing the game and telling us something that's not true. Let us know here in the comments. Does anyone want to guess which one? One, two, or three is the lie? I will go on to the next one if we get someone to guess on this one. And if not, I will just tell you what the answer is. So I've always lived in Arizona, California, or Colorado, or I lived in 9 different states, or I've never lived anywhere except the United States. Which one do you think is a lie? Which one do you think is not true? A lie, I'll type it here, is something that is not true. Can you guess which one of these you think is not true about me? If you have watched me here on YouTube, you might know the answer. Or if you have seen some of my live videos on Instagram, you definitely know the answer because I've talked about it there. Okay, I see some guesses coming in now. So go ahead and put your guess if you haven't yet. Rolf thinks the last one is a lie. Rolf thinks maybe I've lived outside of the United States. Oksana says number 2 is a lie. She thinks that he or she, I'm sorry, I don't actually know, uh, thinks that I have not lived in 9 different states. Dragica Sepo also agrees with Oksana. I'm going to tell you the answer. Number 1 is a lie. I said I have always lived in Arizona, California, or Colorado. That's not true. I have lived in 9 different states in the United States, and I have always lived in the United States. I have traveled to other countries, but I have always lived in the United States. Okay, number 2, or not number 2, the second batch. Let me say the second batch. I'll write that here. The second batch of statements means I'm going to give you 3 more statements and see if you can um, guess which one is a lie this time. Okay, the first statement is my first career was in architecture. Number 2 is I've always taught English. And number 3 is I have taught English, piano, and job readiness. Job readiness like interviewing, resume. Which of these do you think is a lie? Do you think that I was ever an architect? Do you think I was always an English teacher? Do you think I've taught piano and job readiness? Which one do you think is a lie? While you think about that, tell me, for you, what do you do for a living? This is a really common question we ask, other people when we first meet them. What do you do for a living? And then after they answer, we were talking about this in our Women Speak Better group this morning. Then what do you ask? Because they usually give you a very short answer. What do you say after that? Because in the United States, actually in North America, it's very common to have what we call small talk, where we talk about things that are not super important because there are many, many things we don't ask other people in our culture. And there's a lot of those things. I'm going to make a video about that very soon. Okay, I see Oksana is guessing that number two is a lie. The guess is that I've always taught English is a lie. Do you agree with Oksana? Do you think that's a lie, or do you think one of the others is a lie? The three things are: my first career was in architecture. Number two, I have always taught English. Or number three, I've taught English, piano, and job readiness. Which one do you think is a lie? And I don't see where anyone has told me, what do you do for a living? What is your job? What is your career? Maybe you're a student. Maybe you are a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad. Maybe you do volunteer work. What is your what do you do for a living? I don't get to ask you all questions like this very often, so I'm curious to know what you do. I get to hear where you're from a lot, but not what you do for a living. So write in the comments what you do for a living, what you do for a job or a career or your life purpose, and I'll see what the people are thinking. Ethan says, I have never been in the US, but I will go with a tourist visa. That will be awesome, Ethan. That will be a great experience. Oksana, I told you, said she thinks number two. Oksana, will you just tell me, are you a she or a he or a they? And that way I can read, because Oksana's a regular here. I'll say they for now, have been here before. You could also let me know, have you been here before live to listen to our live videos every Saturday at 1:30 Los Angeles, California time? Okay, Sergio disagrees with Oksana and says number one is a lie. Sergio thinks that I have never been in architecture. Dragica says number two. Dragica Sepo, I don't know if I'm saying that right, agrees with Oksana and says that they are a teacher. Huh. So we have two people who think number two is a lie, one person that thinks number one is a lie. The lie is number two. The lie is number two. I have not always been an English teacher. My career started in architecture. That's the truth. I went to college, which is university, and studied architecture. And my first jobs in my career were in architecture firms, meaning a business, a place of business. And then it wasn't very long before I changed to teaching just a couple of years later. And I have taught art and job readiness, English, piano, and basic life skills is, things like I worked in the prison for a while and places where people needed to learn basic life skills like life management, financial managing their finances, how to be less stressed out, things like that. Okay, if you haven't told me what you do for a living, go ahead and put it in the comments. Okay, thanks, Oksana. I thought maybe because your name ended with an A that you were a she. It's not always true, though. Uh, Louise asks, Tanya, do you have many hobbies? You know what? I have a hobby question on here. My next one's about hobbies. So I will answer that after this question. While I'm saying this, if you haven't told me what you do for a living, let me know. Let's see. Antonio says, I've been to Orlando with my family. We like it a lot. That's awesome. I have never been to Orlando, which is in Florida. I've been to Miami, but very briefly. Um, do you ask that even if someone is retired? Yes, we do. We would say, "What did you do for a living?" if they were retired, because in the United States, this is a very common thing that we talk about when we first meet people. Liliane says she's an architect. That's awesome. And Luis is a web designer. Very cool. It's so cool to see what people do here on the channel. Okay, you still can tell me what you do for a living, but here's my next group of 3 statements to see if you can guess which one is a lie. The first one is, I love to read. The second one is, I love to hike. And the third one is, I love to watch football. Which one do you think is a lie? Let me know in the comments. Or do you know what if you know what reading is? You probably know what football is. Hiking is basically taking a walk in the forest or somewhere in nature. Usually we think of it as more rigorous, I'll put that word here, than walking. More rigorous. Because it's in nature, you have to walk over things and climb up things sometimes. And this heater right here is becoming too warm for me, so I'm going to move it over. So while you're guessing, this one might be a little easier. Maybe not. Depends on if you have watched my channel here before or on Instagram. I'm curious, what is something you love to do? So what is something you like to do in your free time or something that is your hobby? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to have a drink of my tea. Okay, people are already guessing on this one. Okay, I see that, I'm not sure I'm saying this correctly. Aliate says hiking. They think that hiking is a lie. Oksana thinks that watching football is a lie. Luis laughs and says, I think the third option is false, which is watching football. Holisak, I'm not sure if I said that correctly, says number 3 as well, watching football. Antonio, we'll come back to Antonio. Natalia or Natalia says football. Dragica agrees. Oksana says she loves football. Luis is laughing. I think you don't like football. You are right. Number 3 is a lie. Actually, it's not that I don't like it. Well, I would say I don't have that strong of a feeling. When we say I don't have that strong of a feeling, we don't love it or hate it. It's more like in the middle, we can say, I would take it or leave it, or I can. It's more common to say, I can take it. I can take it or leave it. It means I don't love it. I don't hate it. I don't like it. I don't dislike it. I'm kind of feel neutral about it. Um, I don't feel strongly one way or another is another way to say this. I don't feel strongly one way or another is another way to say this. I will say when I do watch sports in general, not just football, um, it's usually because I'm watching with family or friends, and I love to spend time with my family and friends. So occasionally, not very often, I will watch a sports event with them. I will say most of my family and friends are not sports fans. Some of them like to watch sports occasionally. But there are some sports events, like that are very popular, like here in the United States, the Super Bowl. I actually haven't been to to a Super Bowl party since before COVID. But I used to go not every year, but pretty often because it's very, very popular and a lot of people do that. And there's always good food and lots of conversation and that kind of thing. Okay, let me go back to see what Antonio says. Do you talk about Columbus? Because I will live there next year with my family. Do you mean Columbus, Ohio? Antonio, are you talking about Columbus, Ohio? Let me see here. A couple people say they like football. Rosario says you don't care. It's a little different than I don't care. It's similar. You can use I don't care to mean, yeah, I'm not, I don't like it. I don't hate it. But you can also mean I don't care, like Um, I don't have any I don't let's see, how could I explain that? I don't feel anything about that. I do have some feeling about it, like I could make probably an entire, video about it, because I do have lots of thoughts and feelings about it. Let's see. Welcome to the people that are just now joining us. If you missed the first part, you can watch the recording here in just a little bit. Okay, I see some people telling our hobbies. Some people like football. Some people like to surf the net. Hello, Jessica. Welcome. Okay, I'm going to do one more. I have three more written here, but I have time for one more. Let's see. Some of you might know this one, so we'll see what you can tell me. But while you're listening, while you're thinking, while you're waiting, let me know what your hobby is, something you love to do, something you enjoy doing in your spare time. You can write it in the comments. Okay, my next group of statements for you to guess which one of these is a lie. So 2 will be the truth, 1 will be a lie if you've just joined us. Okay, so number 1 is I'm studying Spanish. Number 2 is English is my native and only language. Number 3 is I know some sign language, French, German, and Korean. Which of these is a lie? So 2 of them are the truth. Which one is a lie? Which one is not the truth? Tell me in the comments what languages you speak. I know you speak, at least you speak some English if you are listening and understanding. What is your native language, and do you speak other languages? Let me know in the comments what languages you speak and or are studying or have studied and know a little bit about. Luis says, Tanya, it's a wonderful place where you live. Might you share us any photo of the mountains? Yes, I have actually. In some of my YouTube videos, you can see pictures of the mountains. In some, here's Pippa. In some of my Instagram pictures, you see pictures of the mountains. Seeing just pictures will happen mostly on Instagram, but I wonder if you check out my community page here on YouTube. I sometimes post some pictures on the community tab, I think is what they call it. If you haven't met Pippa yet, this is my new little girl, Pippa. She does not like to be held, so I try not to do it very often. It's not one of the things that she likes. Okay, which one of those was a lie? I saw at least one person guessing. Let's see. Holzak says number 2, which was English is my native and only language. They think that's a lie. They think I speak another language. Debu speaks Bengali. Wonderful. Sergio says number 2 is a lie. Sergio agrees. And I don't see any other guesses. I'm going to give you just another minute to guess. Here are the 3. Number 1, I'm studying Spanish. Number 2, English is my native and only language. Or number 3, I know some sign language, French, German, and Korean. Which one of these do you think is a lie? While you type that, I want to tell you thank you so much for those who've already given me a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, be sure to subscribe. Here's Pippa. Pip, look up here. Look up here. Look how cute she is. She's such a cute little tiny one. She's such a cute little tiny one. And next week on what day is that? May. I should look on my calendar. Next week on May I think 13th, 14th. Let me look. May 13th. There will be no live video on May 13th because I will be on vacation. But you will be getting some little bits of information about that while I'm on vacation. And then when I get back, of course, I will be sharing that with you and teaching you some English in context. Oksana guesses the second. Everybody so far agrees that number 2 is a lie. Number 2 was English is my native language and my only language. Yeah, Luis says number 2. Dragika says number 2. Oksana says beautiful cat. Thank you. Luis asks, do I prefer tea or coffee? Tea. I'm a tea person, although I do drink coffee. This is actually iced tea. All right. Everyone agrees on this one. Everyone is correct. That is a lie. Native English is my native language, but it is not my only language. And I am studying Spanish. I'm an advanced intermediate student of Spanish. I do speak a little bit of French. I studied it for 4 years, 5 years, but I don't speak hardly any. I do know a fair amount of sign language. It means not a lot, but I know enough that I can speak to someone who also speaks sign language. I know a teeny tiny bit of German. My father was German, and so I'm learning a little bit of German very slowly because my focus is on Spanish. And I said I'm also learning Korean. I am, but I'm still learning the alphabet. I don't really, I have learned a few words, but my Korean is extremely basic. I mean, like extremely basic. Although I am very much enjoying learning the alphabet because, of course, they have a completely different alphabet than we do. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me here today. I hope that you learned at least one new thing or at least enjoyed yourself and enjoyed using your English. If you're interested in lessons with me live on Zoom, be sure to click the link in the description that I'll put on the recording to find out more about our Women Speak Better program and our individual lessons for everyone. And I will look forward to talking to you all soon. See you then. Bye.